host, Bruce McGuire. Today we are tackling a long-standing mystery, the conspiracy that has not quite been put to bed. Is Alex Jones Bill Hicks? Is Bill Hicks Alex Jones? Are these individuals one and the same? We will examine this conspiracy in typical MindShock fashion with logic and reason at the forefront. I'm, of course, your host, Bruce McGuire, and if you want to help support the podcast, help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications. If you're still not getting them, just like and comment on more videos. Also share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patreon is a good priority for case topic logical analysis, call podcast or requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier, and you can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube and help support the channel that way. Welcome to all the listeners with us live. We got some of the usual suspects in here and maybe some new people as well. So, before we start, let's do a poll. How many people in here think Alex Jones is indeed Bill Hicks? We got fish out of water in the chat saying, no, they are not the same person. Problem solved. Question answered. Everyone go home. Well, that settles that. Anytime there's any question, fish out of water is the sole arbiter of truth. Clairvoyant and omniscient in every way, and can tell us exactly what's what. I mean, fish out of water probably has all the highest level clearances in every single country, so he could definitely tell us exactly what is up. Thank you, fish out of the water. Run Boston Bear says, of course they are the same person, can't you see? Well, they look similar. We could definitely say that. Oh, Break in the chat saying they shared the same producer, Kevin Booth. Yeah, that is also true. What a coinky dink. Fish out of water. You psychologically projecting, you're spiraling? You think me making fun of people spiraling? That's interesting. Okay. Man, a lot of people don't know what psychological projection is. I guess I'm going to have to do a whole podcast on that. I mean, there's so many goofs who just can't stop projecting. So, let's look at the poll results here. 60% say yes. 24 no, 18% too triggered to answer. Can't blame those people. Uh-oh, Donna's in the chat saying probably a clone. Have you uncovered the Bruce McGuire theory? I'm going to go over quite a few mind-shocking revelations with photographic receipts. We always bring the receipts here on MindShock. Alright, the final poll, I'm going to end the poll here. We got the final numbers, 64% say yes. 22% no, 13% too triggered to answer. So, for those who don't know, Bill Hicks was a stand-up comedian. Allegedly born December 16th, 1961. Allegedly died February 26th, 1994. Now, he was a curious individual. Spent a lot of time at the Laugh Stop, a comedy club with locations in Texas and California. Here's a photo of the one and only Bill Hicks at this laugh stop location. And of course, the laugh stop here spelled L-A-F-F. What does everybody make of this image? Allegedly, this is autumn 1991 in Austin, Texas. I mean, I went over this before. There are tens of thousands of cities in the United States. What are the chances that two dead ringers are in the same area? I mean, maybe. But, I mean, it's just... And they're both comedians, so they're both entertainers and comedians. Well, supposedly these birthmarks on his neck also match, as well as certain points on the face. We'll get into that later. So, let's go through the exhibits here. So Bill Hicks actually toured through the 1980s. So it is very interesting, because you have the rise of Bill Hicks touring in the 80s, and then he was actually filling large venues as late as 1991, including in the UK. And then he dies, and then Alex Jones rises to prominence. So if they weren't dead ringers for each other and shared the same producer in the same town, I mean, it's just tough. I mean, this is quite a coincidence stack, is it not? And we're going to get into these age discrepancies. And I believe I might be the first person who will be showing images that I have uncovered, since deleted and scrubbed from the interwebs, of Alex Jones in his teenage years. Because it's actually very difficult to find images. I mean, Alex Jones is such a prominent personality. I mean, he's a celebrity. I mean, he's actually been in Hollywood. He's a full-fledged celebrity. And it is extremely difficult to find any photographs of him in his early life. I've managed to find some. And we will be comparing that. Okay, so once again, Bill Hicks rising to prominence through the 80s. Alex Jones rising to prominence in the 90s. So Jones, allegedly born February 11th, 1974. Hicks, December 16th, 61. Little over a decade discrepancy there, decade difference. Also, both of these guys have a connection to Waco, and David Koresh, which we'll be getting into, to no surprise for the hardcore conspiracy theorists, aka critical thinkers. But the coincidence theorists might not know that. Jones actually organized a campaign to build a new Branch Davidian church in 98. The Waco fire 93. Hicks dies 94. Jones involved in this as well. So Jones started his career Austin Public Access TV. Now, I actually don't have an exact date here, which is actually kind of curious, because it just says the 90s, the early 90s. Does Alex Jones, does anybody know what his first broadcast was? It's actually kind of hard to find this information on Alex Jones prior to 96, because in 96, so he worked a live call-in format cable TV program, and in 96 he switched to radio. So I don't know if there's an exact date. So Hicks allegedly dies 94, Jones active in the early 90s. Does anybody know what Alex Jones' first broadcast was? It's actually difficult to find. I mean, I shared a bunch of videos from maybe 97, 98, like those. Anybody in the chat know the year of Jones' first broadcast? Sasha in the chat saying, are they related, maybe brothers, but didn't want anyone to know? That'd be curious. Miss McGillicuddy says it's probably a clone situation. We should ask Donald Marshall about it. Yes, Jones was on public cable. In 96, he switched to his radio show. I'm trying to find a date for his very first broadcast to see if we can match that up. Now, is it an interesting coincidence that it's actually difficult to find the date of his first broadcast? So, Alexander Emmerich Jones, allegedly born February 11th, 1974. So, they moved to Austin Jones' sophomore year, where he attended Anderson High School. He played football and graduated in 93. So he's graduating high school and becoming an adult in 94, the year Hicks dies, in Austin. That's interesting. Does anybody find that curious? So yeah, there's no exact date on when he had this when he was working on this public access cable television show. Okay, so in 1996, he hosted the final edition on KJFK 98.9 FM. That was in 1996. And that's when he began, at some time post-96, he's talking about New World Order conspiracy theories. You know, it's also curious. In 1999, Jones tied with Shannon Burke for a poll of Austin's best talk radio host by readers of the Austin Chronicle. Later that year, he was fired. The station's operation manager said that Jones' views made it difficult for the station to sell advertising. Okay. So we don't actually have a date on when he started. He was working on. So I'm assuming that doesn't mean hosting, because in 96 he was hosting the final edition. Was that his first host job, or did he have a host job like almost immediately out of high school? Because I mean, he's early 20s here, and he's hosting his own show. How does that happen? Does anybody think that's another coinky dink? Or are there string pullers behind the scene? I mean, how many early 20s individuals just get to host their own radio show? 1990, Hicks released his first album, Dangerous, performed on the HBO special One Night Stand and Montreal's Just for Laughs festival. So, yeah, 90, 91 were huge years. Hicks was voted Hot Stand-Up Comic by Rolling Stone by 93, as Alex Jones is graduating high school. Hicks also relatively connected in Hollywood. So Hicks died February 26th, allegedly at the age of 32. So yeah, a lot of coincidences in the timeline between these individuals. Another coincidence is the Waco siege ending April 93, Jones' senior year of high school. Oh wow, he actually did, it was 93, so he was on, I found it, was on ACTV in Austin. He hosted a call-in show in 93, fresh out of high school. How many people get that kind of opportunity? That's interesting. Does anybody find that interesting? Fresh out of high school, so we have an amalgamation of events here. We have Bill Hicks dying, the Waco siege, or in the process of dying, his cancer diagnosis. We have the Waco siege, Alex Jones' high school graduation, following by him hosting public access television. So it says around this time, 93, so it could have been 94, so we don't have an exact date. It would be curious to know what the date of Alex Jones' first broadcast was. Was it after the alleged death date of Bill Hicks, February 26, 94? Or was it prior? That is an interesting question, is it not? Yes, it did. All of these events are happening at around the same time, within the same 1-2 years. 1-2 years. So, let's get a little deeper here in typical MindShock fashion. I am going to go through the timeline here. I don't know, should I start with a smoking gun? Because some people have actually uncovered a smoking gun here. I don't know the source of this video, but there is a potential smoking gun. Should we just start with the smoking gun? I think maybe we should just start with the smoking gun. I mean, I like a nice slow build-up, but maybe we should just start with the smoking gun. What does everybody think in the chat? Do you guys want to just start it with the smoking gun? Just start off with the Big Bang? A real one, not a theorized one? Let's see what everybody in the chat wants to do. Should I involve the chat more in the highlights here? What does everybody think?